Hello, and here we are again with another familiar face. I believe we actually got a clip of you earlier tonight already. So with me here is the one, the only Truck. Hello and welcome.
Hi there. We didn't do a mic check. That was
We
bad.
didn't do a mic check. I'm sure it's fine. They'll
I'm
tell
hoping
me
it-
if it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
So, demos on the big screen for the first time in a while. We
Yeah.
talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we did the previous interviews when
Yes.
Frankie was here.
Yes.
But we are now actually here live. We've seen the demos.
Yes.
What are we thinking about?
So, three things. Number one. Okay, we're in the Opera House, so I shouldn't curse, but
You're not the first on stream, so go ahead.
it's about fucking time we had an actual party in Finland. And I know I've said, I notice I didn't say real, I said actual, meaning we haven't had anything in Finland, even a small get together we had Zoo, which does matter.
Yeah.
But we haven't had anything where anybody could release anything in this type of situation for a while.
Yeah.
And we forgot, or at least I forgot, what will come out of that. The second thing I wanted to say was, okay, the time frame that people had was short.
Yes.
And so I didn't expect much to come out of this. Now, I guess in some cases, some people might have had some stuff in their back pocket, which probably is a good thing to do.
I mean, Frankie was guessing about this, that people might have something that they've been working on. But
And I talked to a couple people who surprised me by showing up. People that are not here. There are people here that you wouldn't expect, and they're not here because they were a surprise. And anyway, point is, I talked to a couple people, and some of them haven't been working on stuff. They haven't been motivated to do things, or they just they've been waiting. So this was good to have something actually there is kind of an impetus to get people started and thinking about stuff.
Remind people that this is a thing you can do.
Yeah. And the third thing that I wanted to talk about was, I'm fairly sure that that none of the productions were on the same platform. And I am going to exclude PC and drop it into, because I think we had one Notch demo.
Yes.
I think we only had one Unity demo.
I think so, yeah.
And I'm going to put those two in a separate thing. And then we had a third, which was, we had a third and a fourth, which were, yes, they were PC, but they were either size limited or not full demos that were also on PC. So it's not exactly the same thing. We had an Amiga 500 thing. We had an Atari Falcon thing. I was impressed with that. I'm just going to say straight up.
I always love it when anyone puts Atari out there, or Commodore, but especially Atari.
No, we had an MSX1, not an MSX2, MSX1. There's a difference. You can tell with the palette. The palette was very green. It's MSX1. I recognize that palette.
I wouldn't know, but I'll trust you.
Oh, that's a really interesting platform. We'll talk about that later.
All right.
There wasn't a Commodore 64 thing.
No, not this time around.
There were a bunch of things that drew allusions to the Amiga, but yeah, the Atari Falcon demo, it was a technological demo.
Yeah.
It was not a design demo in the same way as the things that came after it. Yeah. But it would be interesting to see if they went in that direction, because the Falcon actually can. But that was a 68030, not a 68060 or an 040. That was a 60. So that was impressive. I was impressed with that. I liked the design on the Amiga thing. The Umalauta things at the beginning, that was really interesting, and I liked the surprise. But yeah, and I wasn't going to talk about individual demos, and then I went off on the Atari and the Amiga.
Here we go.
But yeah, I was impressed with how many. We had the DOS demo from
true.
Alpha Design. It's
Yes.
Alpha Design, right? I hope so. Bright Light and Company.
I think so. My notes are somewhere over there.
Yeah, Bright Light and Chas, and that was good. I liked the fact that we had so many different platforms. Of course, that makes it impossible for us to compare, but that's really good.
Yeah.
I also am very impressed with, and I hope that this event takes place in another 6 months and then in another year. I'm told that it won't happen in 6 months, but I'm still going to push for that. Because this is really cool. The intersection of people who aren't, we normally do not see at demo parties because they don't know we even exist.
Yeah.
Okay, a load of us have been sitting out here in the bar area talking, watching the things on the screen while people were inside.
Yeah.
There were also people going in and out, but the people that were out here were actually watching the stuff on the big screen and commenting on it occasionally with it. So there was an interaction.
Yeah, and it's you can just see people are starved to just meet each other at a party. I actually had Pehu here before you, and we talked about the exact same thing. It's just the fact that we are here alive means so much to, well, everybody.
Yeah, it's just I've had the problem that I have at Revision, which is the first day of Revision, I can only talk to everybody for 30 seconds, and somebody else will come up, and then I'm off with talking to them, and I lose the conversation with the person over here.
Yes.
That's been happening all day.
I just dragged you out of conversation into this interview. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Well, it's fine. Also, I had to stop drinking quite as much as I was at the beginning because I had to come on stream. So thank you for that, because otherwise I would have been completely sloshed.
And well, other thing, actually, you mentioned the intersection, and this is something I've been talking with actually almost all of the Opera teams, both of our keynote speakers and the Opera Beyond team as well, that the mix and match that we get here, because even though they're making a different medium, it's about the same impetus of creating something and often creating something new. And especially, I actually love how well the Opera Beyond finalists and our mixed demo compo max, they were very cool stuff, very different stuff. All of the finalists, all of our shows as well, all of the demos we got to see, very distinct entities in their own right. I said actually to Pehu that it almost seemed more like we were watching a catered demo show. The quality was that high.
In many, yes, it was, but it wasn't because of the short time frame.
I mean, it wasn't as good as it could have been.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as something that, like, if people have had a year to think. So some people would say, no, you're giving too much of this stuff. Truck, you're just being too positive. You're always so freaking positive.
But for the 2 months?
2 or 3 months, that people had to pull this off.
Stunning.
Yes.
Crazy.
We also, and quite a few different ideas. No, they weren't completely fleshed out. You only had 2 or 3 months, but there were people that were working on stuff and got it here. And I think that's another thing, is that there was a venue that people wanted to target. It's like, okay, Opera House, that is an important cultural thing. I want to have my stuff shown at the Opera House. And to that effect, there are people here who didn't compete, who are involved with creative technologies, who are, they would occasionally, oh yes, that's my thing. Or yes, that particular thing that is related to the opera is related to something I'm doing here. So there is a intersection that you wouldn't normally think of, and even though they may not have competed, people who are here from both areas are meeting each other, and that's exciting.
Yes. All right, moving forward from here, where you say you want another event like this in 6 months.
Yes.
I'm not sure we can manage that.
No, I don't think we can, but we're going to try anyway.
Yeah, you will push anyway. What else? What do we want to see moving into 2022 and, well, beyond as well, but let's look at 2022 right now. What are we looking for?
Well, more demos, obviously. I'm going to say that.
Always.
I would like to see, here's the thing that I would like to see more of. I'd like to see people working together and talking more, and that hasn't happened, and that is, again, something that I mentioned earlier in the film. There's too much splintering of stuff. Okay, And I'm just going to come right out. Get off Facebook. And also Twitter is horrible. Move toward things that are more organic and working with people that you know from the past and people in the future. Don't go for platforms. Talk to people. I'm not saying you have to go on to, say, IRC or Matrix, but you know, the areas where people are, don't run away from them because of, well, it's easier to use it on my phone.
Yes.
Stay in touch with people. Email still freaking works. So do forums. Okay, there's one forum I won't go to because it's too toxic.
Let's not go too deep into that.
But that's what I would like to
Yes.
see. I'd like to see people
I
talking
agree.
more. Because what was happening here was I was talking to people that I haven't seen
Yeah.
or talked to in years,
Yeah.
and we've all been in our houses connected,
On the devices we don't use to connect to people.
and we're missing each other.
It's
How
true.
is that happening?
I believe the live parties will help, but thank you so much for joining me, Truck. I'll let you get back to meeting all the
You'll let
people
me
you
get back
haven't
to being
seen.
drunk, yes.
Yes, and we will move to, I think, oh yeah, correct. We will move towards showing the best of demo show for before we get to the prize ceremony, which is a bit after 10. We will also see a stage show from the Opera House showing their tech, so don't miss that either before the final announcements of who won tonight. Thank you, Truck, so much, and we will be going to mingle for a minute. Enjoy the rest of the inn.